Tama. Sabi nga nila na sa bawat sagot sa bawat sagot may panibagong tanong, sa bawat tanong may panibagong sagot. Having a research problem or also interchangeable with questions. Problems or questions, they're the same. Depende na sa'yo paano mo tratuhin ang isang problema, ang isang tanong. Pero yun yung objective. Madalas na, eto rin yung rational, yun, tandaan yung word na rational, yung dahilan ba't natin ginagawa yung research. But this time around, ni-reframe natin yung rational into a question. Okay? So with questions, it always ends with a question mark. Now, with the questions, you're asking who, what, when, where, why, ano pa ba, all those types of questions, right? So, importante nga na may problema kang tina-try to solve. Because again, the point that we do research, this entire thing that we're doing is to discover something. Okay? Research aims to discover or to solve something. Okay? The root of discovery is curiosity. Therefore, curiosity is a question. The root of a solution is a necessity, na pangangailangan, a problem. Right? So, without an identified problem or question, your research is just a compilation. It's just, nag-compile ka lang ng mga alam na ng mga tao dati. Okay? Anong impact ang nagawa mo? Maybe you need it right now. That's good for you. But are you trying to discover something or trying to solve something? Okay? So in this endeavor that we're doing, we need problems. Okay? 99 problems. Joke lang. We need problems. So, meron tayong guide that allows us to discover and also to solve. So aside from the rationale of your work, the SOP, you specifically define, the problems that you're trying to solve. We need problems. Life goes on with problems. Problems are the push that we need to move on to ourselves. Kasi kung wala tayong problema sa buhay, hindi ko ma-imagine ang buhay na walang problema eh. Parang ano ka na lang, parang nag-hibernate ka na lang, parang oso. Pero yun, we do need problems. Just the right amount of problems. Okay? So again, guidelines lang to when making SOPs. Nabato na yung term na SOPs. Make sure your SOP has not been solved. Okay? Magtatanong ka, pero kung may sagot na, well, parang wala na ring sense, di ba? Remember that your SOPs, the problems that you're throwing, even though they may look like that they have been solved, if you apply context, kung kaya mo pang i-dissect yung katanungan, okay, lalo siyang magiging unsolved pa rin siya. If you put context, as a typical, kunyari, in my case, ang research na ginagawa ko is the impact of online learning. What is the impact of online learning? Marami na nakasagot niyan for sure. Marami na nakasagot niyan. Pero how do I make it not yet solved? I put this in the context of the research. What is the impact of online learning among working students in the Philippines? O, di ba? Lalo mong dinaisect. Kung may sagot man o wala, at the very least, you're trying to create an urgency, right? The right problem, the right questions that require your research. Sakto na lang yun ang ginagawa mo. Okay? So yun na nga, you're not trying to reinvent the wheel, di ba? You're just adding an engine to the wheel. Yun ang ginagawa mo. Okay? So make sure that your SOP has not yet been solved. You have to make sure that your SOP are objective. And when you say objective, it can be answered by using measures, not just based on feelings. Answering an objective with, objective questions with something subjective. Subjective kasi yung base lang sa sa atin lang, 'di ba? Yung sa pakiramdam natin eh. It's like may nagtanong sa what it's like, using a thermometer to measure happiness. You've got the right tool but it's not built for the right job, right? So you have to always make sure na yung mga tanong na binabato mo can be answered objectively. Also, make sure yung mga SOPs na gagawin natin is not answered by a yes or no. Okay? Kasi kung ang SOP mo easily answered by a yes or no, it's like parang gumawa ng nobela. Nobela na like writing a novel with only 2 pages lang ba? Okay, yes or no lang. Walang real story, walang explanation kung ano man nangyayari. Okay? So you have to think of your SOP just like a recipe, it should involve not just many words, many explanations, many definitions, many stories, kumbaga. Okay? It's not just, just add water and stir. Also, make sure your SOP is specific to your study, not bigla ka na lang nagbato ng SOP na hindi related sa ginawa mong theoretical framework or conceptual map dahil papahirapan mo lang sarili mo kung ginawa mo yun, okay? It's like, it's like trying to fix a leaky faucet by painting the walls. Very unrelated. Kahit busy ka, pero you're not trying to solve the actual problem. So you always have to make sure that your SOP is specific to your study. Okay? And also, very important, make sure your SOP are answerable. Anyone could tell me why? Please? Anyone? Bakit kailangan answerable ang SOP mo?
Para po makita po natin yung result ng research po natin.
That's one. Ano pa? Anyone? Anyone?
Para po hindi rejected yung research. Parang
okay. Thank you for your answer. When it comes to rejected, it will happen, mare-reject naman talaga. Bakit ka maninigurado na mga tanong mo ay may kasagutan? Mahahanapan ng kasagutan. Kasi sa madaling salita, kung nagtanong ka ng isang bagay na mahirap hanapan ng kasagutan, it's like you're dooming yourself to fail. Tanungin mo, what is the meaning of life? But it needs to be answered objectively. Ay, Diyos ko Lord, napakatagal ng question yan. If it's something unanswerable, ano ba nauna, the chicken or the egg? Okay? So my case in point is kung magtatanong ka rin naman, make sure na masasagot. Okay? The questions, rejected or not, it doesn't mean kung ma-reject man yung tanong mo, okay, or yung hypothesis mo that will go later on, na wala nang pakinabang yung ginawa mo. At the end of things, all your efforts that you have done, as long as it's done scientifically and under the methodologies, under the guidelines of a good thesis writing, may ambag yan sa karunungan. So you always have to make sure that your SOP is answerable. Kasi kung hindi rin ma-answer yan, parang inikot-ikot mo lang yung tanong. Lalo, dinum mo lang sa sarili mo sa fail. Okay? So again, another formula. SOP formula for quantitative. Sige, o nga pala, so far, yung mga titles nyo na binigay are more leaning to the quantitative. Familiar naman kayo with quantitative versus qualitative research? Pagdaanan nyo yan, di ba? Anyone? Pwedeng hindi, pwedeng oo. Familiar naman kayo kung anong quanti, anong quali? Sabihin nyo, para alam ko. Okay? Everyone, aside Miss Rhea.
Yes po.
Okay, so far na-establish naman natin yan. Right, so judging on the titles that you've done, so far we're on the same page na quantitative. Pero if you want to make it a qualitative research, okay lang naman yan. In my personal experience and given the time constraint that we have, quantitative is the way to go dahil maikli lang ang oras. At the very least with quantitative, pwede tayong gumawa ng instruments, pwede tayong gumawa ng survey, na yun na rin yung magiging basihan ng ating discovery. So, before we move on, okay lang ba sa inyo na maging quantitative approach ang gagawin natin lahat? Gusto ko malaman na react nyo kung gusto nyo or kung may other kayo.
Okay lang po.
Okay lang din, sir.
Okay, thank you. I have nothing against qualitative. Ang akin lang kasi dahil limitado oras natin. Pag qualitative kasi, you're not relying on numbers. You're trying to explain phenomenons, feelings, and all those things. If you're trying to create a theory or you're trying to discover something, mahirap gawin yan under this time span. It will take a lot of time and also a lot of scrutiny in your part. So we're trying to make the most that we can. So we're gonna stick with quantitative and we're gonna use this formula in making our SOP. Okay? SOPs in quantitative, may general outline lang naman yan. Mga simpleng tanong na okay lang kahit gamitin nyo rin kung ano isinulat ko dito or gusto nyo i-reword. Okay? First question is, what are the demographic profiles of your respondents? Demographic profiles includes age, sex, ngayon magulo na pagdating sa ganyang usapan, binary, non-binary, all those things. Ano pa ba, socioeconomic status, years of experience, all those things, demographic profiles. Right? So you ask, what are the demographic profiles of your respondents? Importante to para maintindihan mo yung characteristics ng yung mga participants, and also ensures that the findings that you're doing are applicable to the targeted group. Okay? In future research, pag may mga same demographics din na gumawa, at the very least, alam mo na, tawag dito, na within that line of scope pa rin. Kung may gumamit man na research mo, okay, tapos nalaman nila na ito yung mga demographics, tugma ba ito sa ginagawa nila research din in the future. Kung hindi, o di, at least they're well informed. Okay? It helps us to understand the characteristics of your participants. Also, knowing what the demographic profiles are of your respondents, importante yan kasi papasok tayo sa statistical analysis, which would be in the results section after our midterms, So as early as now, pinapadali na natin yung magiging mga SOPs natin para madali na rin ma-extract yung kasagutan. So yan, number 1, always a question na magiging common yan sa mga research nyo. What are the demographic profiles of your respondents? Okay? What are the levels of your IB? When I say levels, again, nagbigay kayo ng mga categories ng IBs nyo. Within the levels, within the categories of your IBs, meron mas mataas, meron mas mababa. We find a way kung ano yung dominant, ano yung kumbaga sa category, ano yung most common, ano yung hindi. Again, these all include some sort of measure. Right? We try to measure. We measure the various categories or conditions. So this is why I told you na at least you categorize your independent variable by 3 sa 3 para mas madali i-measure yung mga levels. Of course, kung isa lang, no problem there. Mahirap lang i-justify. Kunyari, in my case, yan, itong case ko, evaluating the impact of online learning. Kung sinabi ko lang, what are the levels of online learning? Diba? Walang categories yan. Maybe I can explain. Pero madali din siyang ma-dispute kasi maraming klase ng online learning. May asynchronous, synchronous, ganyan. If you dissect online learning into, in my case, 4 categories, mas madali ma-determine yung mga levels of each online learnings. Mas madali i-measure, mas madali din i-explain. Sa study ko, mas dominant ang asynchronous, mas dominant ang self-paced learning. Okay? So far, nagigets nyo? Bakit? Okay naman?
Apo.
Yes, sir.
Alright. Mas pinapadali natin yung study natin. Okay? Less vague, the better. Clear but simple, again, is beautiful. Yun. So, also, what are the levels of your DV? Same din. Kung anong ginawa mo sa IB, what are the levels of your DV? Right? And of course, what are the relationships or differences of the IB and the DV? As you would notice, color-coded. Yung mga SOP na ginagawa ko, ito yung last one. Okay? Mga SOP na mga binabato ko, related yan dun sa title. Ito yung title ko, kung nakikita nyo. Yan, evaluating the impact of online learning on the practical skills and real-life application of working students. Evaluating the impact, that's my objective. Gusto kong malaman kung ano yung impact. Okay? Online learning is my independent variable. If you see the sample, dinivide ko pa yan sa 4. Okay? Practical skills, level of practical skills, ayun yung aking dependent variable. Real-life application, ayan yung goal. How does it relate to real-life application? Working students, sila yung demographics ko, sila yung focus ko. So, 1 question for the working students, which are my demographics. What are the demographic profiles? 1 question for the IB. What are the levels of the IB? 1 question for the DV. Yan. Color-coded naman. Kita niyo yung color coding, di ba? So, mix and match na lang ba? Ang importante, yung SOP, it pays credence to all the elements that you put in your title. So, in retrospect, importante pala na yung title ko, madali yan, hindi masyado complicated kasi yun yung magiging backbone ng ginagawa mo. Kung masyado complicated ang title mo, rational, SOP, definition of terms, lalo lang hihirap ang buhay nyo. So far sana nakatulong yung ginawa nating formula. Okay naman? So far, so good?
Apa.
Okay, sige. So, sinisimplify lang naman natin yan. Alright, so etong formula na to, magiging standard din ito. Kayo na lang mag-modify tugma sa inyong research. Pero so far, nagigets nyo naman, di ba? IV. Palitan nyo lang yung IV, lagay nyo IV na research nyo, lagay nyo DB nyo, ganun. Siyempre, gagawa tayo ng questionnaire to find out. So far, leave it, ito muna gamitin natin as it is. Also, you could include other questions that you think would be necessary in your study. In my case, nagdagdag ako na isa. What are the identified barriers affecting online learning? So, dinagdag ko siya sa demographics. Okay? Later on, papakita ko yung survey na ginawa ko. So, in my opinion, statement of the problem, less is good. Saktong number of problem lang. Hindi masyadong madami. Ikaw, in the end, yung magkakaproblema. Hindi masyadong onte na parang nawalan naman ng halaga yung ginagawa mo study. Kung gagawin mo na rin naman to, do your best. Okay, do your best na yun. All effort na rin. Alright? So, sakto lang. I find 5 to be the sweet number. 5 SOPs to be the sweet number. Kasi, the more SOPs you throw, the longer your results will be. Kasi kada problem na ibibigay mo will have one result. So, in my case, 5 problema, I'm expected to generate 5 results. Right? Okay. Okay, moving on. Dito tayo sa hypothesis. Sa hypothesis naman, okay, familiar na kayo with the term hypothesis, di ba? Familiar naman kayo? Anyone? Hypothesis? Familiar naman sa inyo?
Medyo nakalimutan ako.
Opo.
Okay lang, medyo hindi, okay lang. Kasi yun naman ang trabaho natin dito para mabalikan naman natin. Hypothesis is very important kasi ito, contradictory to what we know. Kaya ka pala gumagawa ng research. Kahit ako, aminado ako, medyo hindi ko pa rin ma-process to. Kaya tayo gumagawa ng research para mapatunayan na mali pala ang assumption natin. What? Yun pala yun. Para mapatunayan na mali pala yung iniisip natin. Okay? Pero that's the way scientific inquiry goes. Ang mindset ng mga scientists is to have their assumptions disproved. Para, one, mawala yung mga biases nila. Kasi syempre, kasama, it comes with the territory. Ang mga matatalinong tao, typically scientists, gusto nilang mapatunayan na tama sila. Okay? And with that, baka may mga paraan sila to, bend some facts, bend realities, and all those things maging biased, if that's their objective. So what scientific inquiry does in hypothesis is that it prioritizes the assumption to be incorrect. Yung idea mo about your thesis to be incorrect. Okay? Right. So, in this example, okay, the null hypothesis, you always have two hypotheses in your studies. The null hypothesis is your assumption is incorrect, all right? The alternative hypothesis is your assumption is right. Okay, magiging priority parati na you are incorrect. I know, sundan nyo na lang muna ako dito. And the alternative hypothesis, your assumption is correct. So based on this example, again, ang title ko, Evaluating the Impact of Online Learning on the Practical Skills and Real-Life Application of Working Students. Kung walang hypothesis dyan, ang assumption ko is, may impact ang online learning sa real-life application of working students. That's just my assumption. Kung hindi tayo gumagamit na hypothesis, which makes it valid, which gives me the motivation to figure it out. But again, the way we do research is to make sure na hindi ako biased, okay, na hindi ako naghahanap ng other agendas. I am reminded to dispute myself na ang magiging priority objective is that HO, null hypothesis, online learning has no impact on practical skills. Okay? The alternative, isipin mo, alternative lang yung idea mo, that online learning has an impact on practical skills. But it doesn't mean na we have to disprove ourselves. Hypothesis, putting the hypothesis in our study is just a way for us to be grounded, to be objective ba? Okay? So, this is a simple formula na gagamitin nyo rin. Hindi masyadong komplikado. Yun na lang kung ano man ang title nyo. Again, importante na simple rin ang title nyo. The null hypothesis, HO, okay? HO, HN, sa iba HO na lang para standard tayo. In my case, has no impact, okay, in practical skills. Alternative hypothesis is online learning has an impact on practical skills. And syempre, me as a researcher, I'm praying that I reject the null and accept the alternative. All right? Any questions so far?
Wala po.
Wala, sir.
Pero nagigets niyo yung dahilan ba't kailangan ibato pa rin yung hypothesis para sa isang researcher, di ba?
Opo.
Para maano yung yabang natin, pero here's the thing with hypothesis. Kahit ma-disprove ka, kahit accept the null, reject the alternative. So sa madaling salita, mali ang assumption mo. Alright? At the end of that, at the end of the day, true or not yung ginawa mo, may naiambag ka pa rin sa industriya mo. So ibig sabihin, yung taong susunod sa'yo na gustong gamitin yung study mo, at least alam nila na yung ginawa mo, wala palang epekto. Okay? Na-inform na sila. So it's not for a bad cause. May impact ka pa rin na nagawa. Siyempre, it's up to your ego na lang kung paano mo tatanggapin yan, pero I have researches that have been rejected, and it's all good. At the end of the day is night. At the end of the day is that may naiambag ka sa ginagawa. Okay? So, this is common format. Gagamitin din natin sa research. Don't worry, I will send copy naman nung ano. Ay, nga pala. Na-inform na kayo, di ba? So, yung research na pinagbabasihan nyo is also my research. Na-inform ko na ata sa inyo kasi ngayon lang pala tayo nagkita pero doon na message ko na. So, gusto ko makipagsabayan sa inyo, sabay ako sa inyo. Kung gagawa na rin kayo ng research, sasabayan ko na kayo sa research. So, gumagawa rin ako ng personally. Naisip ko, pwede ka magturo lang naman, pero kung magtuturo ka, kung may papahirapan din, kung mahirapan din sila, sabayan mo na rin sila sa hirap. So ako, ladies and gentlemen, I'm also conducting research. So best example ako. Okay, yun na lang. So ngayon talagang hindi lang ako magtuturo para gayahin nyo, kukuha lang ng mga sumasabay talaga ako sa inyo. Kasi ang goal ko din at the end of this course, syempre ang goal ko kayong 26 na katao ba? 26 tayo enrolled, di ba? At unless may bagong sumali, hindi ako inform, ay hindi lang makapasa, makaambag ba sa siyensya, sa business. And also for me, since nahihirapan na rin tayo in this, positively nahihirapan na rin, enjoy the process. Alright? Sige. So I'm doing my research. Alright, so moving on, scope and delimitations. Now, importante na ma-establish din natin yung scope and delimitations ng ating study. Bakit? Could someone explain to me why? Bakit kailangan natin i-explain sa papel natin kung ano yung scope, at ano yung limits ng ating study? Anyone? Okay. Sir Neil, ikaw. Ay, si Miss AJ pala. Miss AJ.
Sir, lagi
na lang ikaw.
Ano po? Hindi po, lagi nyo na lang po ng pagkakamalang lalaki.
No. I said Miss AJ kasi si Neil, pumasok ang pala ko. Naklarify ko. No, natawag kita Miss. I know that. Si Neil kasi kaya natawag ko siya. Promise. Anyway, Miss AJ. The very beautiful.
Ano po kasi? Yung sa title po namin, 'di ba, na na-suggest po na i-narrow down po yung title namin. So, parang doon na din papasok po yung scope and delimitation po para kung hanggang saan kaming study lang, kasi hindi naman po lahat ng study ipapasok po namin doon sa research.
Tama. Dahil napagkamalan kung hindi ko napagkamalan si Neil kasi. Sir Neil, ikaw, bakit? Nagsabay kasi, sorry. Sir Neil, bakit importante ang scope and delimitations sa study?
Yung scope and delimitation po kasi, ito po yung sa research po natin, kailangan may limit lang po tayo, scope na tinatawag, may boundaries po. Ganon din po sa delimitation. Kumbaga parang may boundary lang po. Hindi po tayo, kailangan maging specific po tayo dun sa target na participant natin or yung interviewin po natin someday dun sa research po na gagawin natin. Yun lang po.
Tama. Siyempre, kung di natin na-clarify ang scope and delimitations natin, makikritik, matitest talaga yung research natin, di ba? And one way to enhance our defenses, sabi nga nila, is to narrow down our scope and limitations. Pero hindi naman sobrang narrow down. Yung sakto lang naman. Sabi nga nila, it's easier to rule a small kingdom than a large one. No? It's easier to defend a fortress than a field, right? If you're going to defend your thesis, the more that you explain your scope and delimitations, mas nasasarado mo yung mga butas kung saan ka pwedeng tanongin. And also, tulad na rin na sinabi nyo, kahit i-argue nila bakit hindi yan, yun, pwede mong i-justify using yung scope and delimitation na study mo. Sabi nga nila, you cannot be anyone trying to be everyone. You cannot do anything trying to do everything. So, therefore, kailangan maintindihan din yan ng mga panelists mo. So, we'll use this basic formula again, color-coded, So, for simplicity's sake, so take it for what it is. Siyempre, una tayo sa scope. Scope defines the boundaries of the studies, includes the topics covered, research questions, specific populations, settings to be investigated, and more importantly, it clarifies what the study will address. All right? Yan, define the coverage, describe what the study will focus on. In my case, in my research, binalikan ko lang yung title. The study is only limited to evaluating the impact of online learning on practical skills and real-life application for working students. Any variables not related to the topic are not the primary focus. Okay, malinaw sa araw. So kung may itanong man yung panel, ba't hindi itong tinignan mo? Nakalagay na po dyan. Okay? So at least naano natin yung mga butas natin, natatakpan natin. Mas madali natin madepensahan yung thesis. Specify the population. Again, who, where, when the study will take place. Siyempre, para maging specific yung coverage of the study. Alright? So in my case, ang sinabi ko, population will be working students presently located in the Philippines. They can be Filipinos or foreigners from different age, gender, occupation. Yun, the geographic boundary for the study is within the Philippines. Hindi pa nakapitalize yung Philippines as of 2024. Alright, so limit that. So my study is not limited to only Filipinos type foreigners. Basta importante, nasa Pilipinas sila and they're presently engaged in online learning, and also what's one important criteria, that they're working students. Okay? Yan, clarify the objectives. Ano ba yung objective ko? Primarily quantitative, yan, aims to achieve. Yan, yung kung ano yung achieve, to use quantitative. Okay? Delimitations, yan, outline choices, explain bakit yun ang limitations mo. Bakit siya? Kasi I only want to focus on practical skills, on working students, because these are the chosen interests of the researcher for practical and professional reasons. For practical and professional research reasons, I'm doing this just to be practical. I selected this just to be practical, as you mentioned. Di naman natin kaya i-measure lahat. And for professional, meaning kung ano man na maging outcome nito, magagamit ko sa present na ginagawa kong trabaho. Okay? So again, we'll use this basic formula. Kahit one sentence lang for each. I-describe nyo lang naman. Babalikan nyo yung title nyo para madali lang naman. Hindi naman kailangan mahaba itong scope and delimitations. Hindi rin kailangan makulay. Right, so moving on. Definition of terms naman tayo. Defining your terms in relation to your study, giving concrete examples. So kung nakagawa na kayo ng conceptual map, ang objective nyo naman sa definition of terms is to define all the elements that you've made included in your conceptual map. All right? This is very important. You give objective definitions, defining your terms kung paano siya ginagamit in relation to your study. You give concrete examples. Anong nagiging itsura? Ano ba nangyayari? Kasi, for example, if I don't objectively define kung anong ibig sabihin ng asynchronous or, synchronous, blended, or self-paced, kung hindi ko siya define objectively sa study ko, baka isipin ng panelists or anyone else na, is this asynchronous related to work, to gaming, to recreation? No, this is for online learning. Pag hindi ko na elaborate yan, hindi ako nakapagbigay ng example, pwede nila ma-mistake yan. Is it their fault? It actually is my fault for not being able to explain that. So ganun din, if I'm not able to explain my DV, give operational and concrete. Pag sinabing concrete, paano siya, anong itsura niya as it happens, they might think na, is it technical skills relating to psychology, arts, etc. No, it's practical skills related to work. No? So, it's very important that you give your operational definition. Okay? So, ano ba magiging itsura nun? Parang ganito lang siya. So, ganito lang. Simple cheat sheet. Again, cheat sheet lang naman. Kunin mo yung concept map mo. This is what I do. Kunin mo yung concept map mo. Isa-isahin mo yung mga terms na nandyan. Yung mga importanteng terms. Right? In my case, yan. Online learning, practical skills, and all those things. Arrange them alphabetically. Okay? Of course, alphabetically kasi that's just APA 7 style. Arrange them alphabetically. So as you could see on the left, yung mga elements, 14 of them, those came from the map. Nandyan yung asynchronous, blended, yung again, kung hindi ko ma-define yan, baka maisip nila kung ano ibig sabihin ng blended, di ba? Ibang blended na naisip nila, halo-halo, di ba? Mekos-mekos lang naman, di ba? Blended in the term of online learning. Okay? So, you give concrete example. For example, asynchronous learning where students complete coursework in their own schedule without real-time interaction kasi asynchronous nga, hindi sila nag-interact. Alright? An example is completing assignments from a recorded lecture at any time. It's up to you how you write it. Okay? Hindi naman kailangan sobrang haba. Actually, sa mga ganito, mas okay na mas maikli. If you could go directly to the concrete, the better. Para makatipid ng papel. So blended. Hindi lang pala siya mekos-mekos lang. Blended. Combine learning, online learning in person. An example is attending weekly classes and completing online modules. Communication. Naku, napaka-vague ng communication. Pag hindi mo kinlarify sa study na ito, di ba? An example is drafting reports and participating in meetings, school meetings. Kaya collaboration. So, hindi ko na iisa-isahin. And if you manage to do that, magiging ganito itsura ng definition of terms. Right? Nakalista lang naman. Right? So, once this is done, it would look something like this. And congratulations, we've just done chapter 1. Okay?